Okay,
Hi everyone.
go ahead.
Hi everyone. This is David Collada, Executive Director of the Citizens Utility Board. At CUB, we are consumer advocates fighting for energy policies that are good for your pocketbook and also good for the planet. Today, I'm going to be talking about a serious threat to our electric bills and the climate from a recent decision from the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, the FERC. So I'm going to be talking about this FERC decision, and what a threat it is, but how we can prevent that threat from materializing if we pass the Clean Energy Jobs Act. First, though, I want to make sure everyone can hear me, that they can see my screen okay. So if you could click on some emojis, maybe the wow face or something. The more I see that going across the screen, the more energy I'll have too. So just want to make sure that that this is all working. So please click on some emojis to get me going. All right, I see a few there. Thank you so much. So a few things that we need to understand on this issue, and I'll kind of go over them step by step. First, in Northern Illinois, in the ComEd service territory, we are in what is known as PJM interconnection. PJM, there are 13 states in the District of Columbia as part of PJM. Actually, PJM stands for Pennsylvania, Jersey, and Maryland. Those are the first states in it. We're on the western edge of it, and they run our energy market. So we are part of the PJM system in Northern Illinois. Now, PJM, this is the second thing we need to understand, runs what is called a capacity market. The electricity that is allowing you to view this video right now was generated a split second ago. And it could have come, the electrons could have come from, basically the whole region, but instantaneously. And the pricing for that is what's known as the energy market. Capacity market is aimed at making sure we have enough electricity in the future. So it's a future market, 3 years in the future, in fact, so that on the hottest summer day when air conditioners are running full blast, we'll have enough electricity. So capacity market is a forward market that PJM runs. Now, capacity markets are pretty controversial, actually, and I'll get back to that in a little bit. Not everyone has them. It is less of a market than actually a construct. If you've ever seen the rules that apply, they're hundreds of pages, and quite honestly, they kind of change every year because this is less of a market and more of a design system for a predetermined outcome. So you got PJM, you have the capacity market. Now, the next step in the process is to know that over the last 15, 20 years or so, Illinois has invested in clean energy. We've invested in energy efficiency, we've invested in renewables, in zero emissions credits, in other clean energy technologies, and that has really worked. It's worked for consumers and it's worked for the environment. Now, when we first started at CUB, our bills, average residential bills, were among the highest in the country, and they were the highest in the Midwest. And now we have the lowest bills, average bills in the Midwest, and among the lowest in the country. And we've done this while starting the process of decarbonizing our grid. So all of this is good. Now, there's a lot of work that still needs to be done. We can't stop, but we've made a lot of progress. Now, that's good for consumers. That's been good for the state. It's been good for the environment. It hasn't been so good for fossil fuel companies, those companies that own coal plants or natural gas plants. They haven't liked this. And what ended up happening is they went to FERC, the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, and they filed a complaint. And what the complaint basically said was Illinois policies like energy efficiency, like renewables, were taking money out of their pocket at the end of the day. That in effect, they couldn't sell as much fossil fuel as they would like, and as much electricity as they would like, and they weren't getting as much money as they would like. So they filed this complaint, and the FERC, the Trump administration appointees on the FERC, ultimately sided with the fossil fuel industry. And they ordered PJM to change the rules of the capacity market to penalize our clean energy policies and to favor essentially fossil fuels. You can think about it this way. The problem that the FERC was trying to solve with the order, believe it or not, is actually that our bills are too low, the capacity prices are too low, and that our policies are promoting clean energy. And they wanted essentially to try to reverse that. And so that's what they've done. Now, we don't, that process, we're now waiting for the next auction to be run under these new rules. But in the meantime, remember I said that capacity markets are controversial, that not everyone has them. Well, it turns out that PJM knew this at the start, and they created a program called the Fixed Resource Requirement, or FRR. I don't know why they chose FRR, it's a pretty bad acronym, but what it allows is the state to essentially take over the capacity planning function itself. So instead of using the rules that PJM has put in place, and now FERC has required to be changed to punish Illinois, we can take over the capacity planning responsibility ourselves, basically take the power back and use our own set of rules. Well, that's a good program. It's been used in other states about 9 times through the year. Some of them has been good, some of them not so good. But this program offers a really good opportunity. We can still be in PJM, but we just take responsibility for our own clean energy future and planning the rules for the capacity market. And that is what the Clean Energy Jobs Act requires and authorizes. What it says is that essentially we're going to take advantage of this FRR program, and we're going to design the rules such that we can save consumers money, and there's a guaranteed consumer savings provision in the Clean Energy Jobs Act, and we can use the money that we're spending, and we can align that with our values around decarbonizing our electric grid and responding responsibly to climate change. Right now, we are spending about $1.8 billion a year on capacity. That's a lot of money. That's about 20% of our average price of electricity is just for this capacity market. And the vast majority of that revenue, I think about 85, 86%, are going to fossil fuel plants. They're not supporting the clean energy that we want to support here in Illinois and that is working in Illinois. So that's the situation now. That's only going to get worse because remember, what the FERC is trying to do here is raise capacity prices to make them even more expensive and to support fossil fuels. So fundamentally, what we're doing with the Clean Energy Jobs Act is just taking the power back, designing our own set of rules so that that money can go to resources that we want to support, particularly renewable energy. You put it all together, and what the Clean Energy Jobs Act offers is a way for us to go to 100% clean energy by 2030 and put us on a path, a real path, to get close to 100% renewable energy by 2050. This can be done. We've outlined it in the Clean Energy Jobs Act, along with our partners in the Illinois Clean Jobs Coalition. It's a very comprehensive bill, but fundamentally it's about how can we affordably decarbonize our grid. We can achieve it, and that's what we're all about here. So I'd be happy to answer any questions, but one of the things we certainly need to do here is help. We need your help in spreading the word. If you like this, if you can like our Facebook page, if you could spread it, share it with friends, because fundamentally we don't have much time for this issue. Remember, I said that the next auction under the new rules is going to be run soon. Well, we think that could be as early as the end of this year, or perhaps certainly by March of next year. And it will take some time to design the rules for this FRR. It can be done, but the Illinois Commerce Commission and the Illinois Power Agency, they'll need some time to do this well and to do this right. So at the end of the day, what we need to do is pass a bill to authorize this and then move forward. We can save people money, we can save the planet, and do all kinds of great things. So with that, I'm going to look to see if there are any questions. Look, we do have some questions, and got to put my glasses on to read them, but let's go here. Why should we be worried about the Clean Energy Jobs Act in the middle of a pandemic? That's a very good question. Obviously, the pandemic is on everyone's mind. I think the answer to that is basically twofold. One, a lot of consumers are struggling right now, right? I mean, a lot of people are having difficulty paying their bills, because they don't have a job and they can't work. Well, one of the things the Clean Energy Jobs Act is aimed at doing is saving people money. So the more you can save people money, the more jobs we can create, because fundamentally, this is about continuing to jumpstart the clean energy economy in Illinois. And we have lots of clean energy jobs that can expand even further. But also, you think through a lot of the areas that are hardest hit by COVID-19 are areas where environmental justice communities or low-income areas where there's a lot of pollution, where there's a lot of air pollution, and that's making the situation worse. So, at the end of the day, I think that it really is important, it really is urgent that we respond to climate change, that we save consumers money, and we think that it should happen as soon as it possibly can. Another question here, are there guaranteed savings in CEJA, the Clean Energy Jobs Act? Yes, the answer to that question is there are guaranteed savings. One of the things here is that we're paying a lot of money for capacity. As I mentioned earlier, it's about $1.8 billion a year. And we have a ton of capacity. By law, we're required to have a reserve margin of about 16%. Now, a reserve margin is the amount of power you have over your highest expected usage day. So only we need to have 16%. We have a reserve margin now of 30%, and it's going to go even higher with this FERC decision, unfortunately. So one of the things we can do is just simply buy the power, enough power, the only power we need, not stuff that we don't need. So the way the bill works is it guarantees a minimum of 5% savings on what you paid for energy, capacity, renewable energy credits, and zero emissions credits last year. And it says we will pay collectively 5% less than we did last year. The savings could be greater, but it locks in guaranteed savings, and that's one of the reasons at CUB that we are so strongly supportive of it, is because of this guaranteed savings provision. Another question here. Some critics say the damage won't be as bad as $864 million a year. What do you say to that? So a group called the Grid Strategies Group, they put out an estimate of how much these new capacity rules will increase bills, and they came up with an estimate of $864 million a year. Now, this is a model, and we understand that there are other models say it won't be that bad. It says maybe 400 million or 500 million or 300 million a year. But here's the thing. The purpose of what the FERC did here is to raise our bills and to punish clean energy. That is what it's designed to do. So we know that bills are only going up. And also, we know right now that the vast majority of money that we spend on capacity are not aligned with our state's values to decarbonize. They're going for resources that we don't need or want to support. So we pretty much have to do this anyway if we're going to effectively get to 100% clean energy and do so in an affordable manner. Another question here from Clark Bullard. How will CEJA affect munis and co-ops that generate with coal? That's a good question. The bill itself mainly deals with investor-owned utilities. So that would be ComEd and Ameren and Mid-American. So it mainly deals with investor-owned utilities. It does have a decarbonization provision in it that could impact munis and co-ops to the extent that they had contracts with, for example, Prairie State, the coal plant in southern Illinois. That's an issue that we're working through. We want to make sure that the munis and co-ops are treated fairly, that they're not punished. We don't really, at CUB, we don't deal with municipal utilities and co-ops that much. I can't say that we know a ton about it. I can tell you that we want to make sure that our muni and co-op consumer friends are treated fairly, and that's what we're aiming to do. Do we have any other questions here? Seeing a couple more. I see a question about what you can do to help. This is a very important issue, right? And I think the most important thing right now that people can do is really spread the word. If you're concerned about this, let folks know. You can go to our website at citizensutilityboard.org. You can share this post. You can like this post. You can let friends and family know about it. So, it's really important that that we do what we can to fight back, to stop this and prevent this BRIC decision from going into effect. We can do it. It's just a matter of ultimately passing legislation. So what we want to do is let people know about this, that it's important to take the power back and contact your elected officials, spread the word, and we can go from there. Another question here, how does clean energy lower our electric bills? Well, ultimately, a good example of this would be energy efficiency policies. Nothing is cheaper than the kilowatt hour you don't have to use. And one of the things we've seen is, one of the main reasons our bills are significantly lower than they used to be is we've invested in energy efficiency. So right there, there's a very good example. We've also seen that with renewable technologies, that the price of that is coming down every year. And so that's a really positive development. And I think that, fundamentally the way we look at these issues is they work together, that the consumer argument is the environmental argument and vice versa, if properly understood, in our opinion. And that if we have comprehensive bills like we've had in the past, they're not perfect, but they've moved the state forward, we can work these issues out and we can continue to do what we've been doing, which is saving consumers more money and slowly but surely decarbonizing our grid. Are there any more questions out there? I'm not seeing any. So with that, I'll just wrap it up here with a pitch for CUB in general. We're obviously all working from home, but we are still working. One of the core things we do is provide money-saving tips. We have consumer counselors available 9 to 4, Monday through Friday. You can give us a call. You can also send us your utility bill. We find lots of ways that people can save, and that's what we're all about. All of our services are free of charge, although, of course, we encourage people to donate to our organization if they like it. We always appreciate the support we receive from our members across the state. So for more information on the Clean Energy Jobs Act, you can go to citizensutilityboard.org. I would also encourage you to visit the Illinois Clean Jobs Coalition website, which is ilcleanjobs.org. But the Clean Jobs Coalition has lots of information, lots of good information on what you can do to help, and of course has the Clean Energy Jobs Act itself. We would encourage people to go to those websites and give us a call at 1-800-669-5556. We're all about trying to help you out and help you save some money. So with that, I will finish. And once again, really appreciate you checking it out today. And if you can share with friends and like our page, etc., that would be fantastic. Citizensutilityboard.org, ilcleanjobs.org. And until next time, stay safe and stay strong. Talk to you soon. Thank you.